Okay, folks, welcome to another video. I have dragged screaming and shouting into this video chat again. My good mate Jamie, Junosix. How are you, Squire?
I'm not too bad, thank you, Al.
Yeah, I thought the last time would have been enough. I thought you thought seriously, no, I'm not getting involved. I'll give it another 8 years before I come back on the channel. But you're back for more. You must be a sick man.
Glutton for punishment, I guess. glutton for flight simulators at the very least.
Yeah, we will. If this one, if you want any more of this, we will try and move away. But I think it's fair to say that flight simulators are probably the kind of they were probably the most complicated games. I mean, I think the early it's probably suffice to say early computer games were pretty much press fire button and you controlled whatever it was. Flight simulators obviously were that wee bit more kind of involved, I think.
I mean, I've got the instructions in front of me right now. I've not started reading them, but it's like a very long.
Yeah, it's a kind of yeah. My heart did sink actually when I went into GameBase. GameBase is a wonderful. It's a collection of games. I mean, there's something like 30,000 Commodore 64 games. Every game, even type-ins. There's only one game that I typed in, and that's there as well. People like Mayhem. I can't remember his Matt. Mayhem.
Matt.
Yeah. I can't remember his bloody second name. Apologies, Matt.
Alan.
Matt's been heavily involved in it, but it's a group of people.
His name's Alan.
I says so it is. How can I forget that one? Yeah, absolutely. Matt Allen. He's been involved in GameBase for a long time. Lots of people have put a lot of work in, and it's a great collection. I mean, it's quite literally the definitive collection of, it was started around the Commodore 64. Other people have done their own kind of game bases on Atari ST and Amiga, but none are quite as intensive as the C64. It's insane. You on virtually every game you click on, you've got extras, and it'll have like all the magazine scans, it'll have instructions and original disc, and like the compilation disc version and the original disc version, all that kind of stuff. I didn't even realize that was a thing. It's absolutely insane.
Has it even got like the little type-in things in magazines and stuff?
Oh, it has. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know whether somebody has sat and painstakingly type these things in. Surely not. But then what this whole hobby is. I mean, I've probably spent more of my life renaming files. I mean, in the early days, the good old days of the internet, you used to I would download all these games. It'd be like 2,000 Commodore 64 games, but instead of calling it like Drop Zone, it would be DRPZ. Now.
Right.
That would annoy me. So I would sit and painstakingly load up each game, right? Drop Zone. And you spend hours and hours and hours and hours doing all that shit. And then once you've done it, you never actually go back to it.
Yeah.
But,
There's like some contention about the convention of like, do you put the year in brackets afterwards, or do you use a comma, or
yeah.
There's a lot of disagreement.
That's right. And I know talking about kind of like people who go the extra kind of yard when it comes to this kind of hobby. There was a guy, I can't remember for the life of me what he was called, but before they became available online, this guy, he must have had, a full collection of, I think it was Zap magazines and Crash magazines and computer and video games, and he quite literally scanned them all in. And apparently he went through loads of different scanners, scanning Mort. That's the guy, M-O-R-T. I don't know why I remember that. The guy was called Mort. I don't know if he's still alive or what he's doing or anything about him, but this guy actually sat and scanned in all these magazines, But it's wonderful if it wasn't for people like him and, all other people, Matt Allen and all these guys, this kind of hobby would quite literally be lost.
Yeah, that's why we wouldn't have all these things. Yeah,
I need to stop saying quite literally quite as much. Do you notice that everybody seems to say basically, or in other words, people use the same phrases all the time? I'm guilty of that as well. Have you noticed that? You'll notice it now. You'll think, Christ, he was right. Basically.
Did I just say basically?
No, I say it all the time. People say it all, or what I'm trying to say. That's another one a lot of people seem to come out with all the time. But Yeah, I will quite literally stop saying quite literally. But yeah, it's insane. But anyway, getting back to what I was talking about before, I got you online. I thought, right, that's great. I'll download I've got the files here. I'll just bring up the instructions, and that is the one game there are no instructions. I thought, bollocks, this is going to be fun. It's quite. I was going to say it again. It will involve
We'll have to have like a
pressing
little
every.
counter in the bottom right hand of the screen.
What's that?
We'll have to have like a little counter every time you say basically.
Yeah, and I get some kind of electric shock or something. I'll need to, yeah, that sounds good. But anyway, I managed to find instructions online. It's not the most adequate way of looking at it. As you say, it's a PNG file, and it's like that by that. But that's all I can find. So listen, before we get into the actual game, the reason I picked this game is if you watched the last episode, Jamie, you picked a game which actually featured in the Nice and Nasty podcast as a game that you wanted eradicated from history, and it was because you quite simply couldn't play it. That was the case, wasn't it?
Yep, basically.
And
that's
it. You quite literally couldn't play it. Have you changed after the couple of hours that was spent? I would say it was quite a successful couple of hours. We managed to take off.
It was, and funny you should say that. I haven't touched it since.
I can't believe that for 1 second. You've had your fill. If you were to come back on and do the Nice and Nasty, would that appear in the list, or would you let it off the hook?
I think I might let it off the hook.
Yeah,
it's one of those things to tick off the list. One of those sort of like mysteries of decades gone. That it's like actually, I there is a game there for sure.
Yeah, we proved it. So this game, I bought this from a computer shop. It was before you could go to like Boots and John Menzies and W.H. Smith and Virgin and all these kind of shops. It was one guy. It was an Italian guy, and you would probably like him because he came from Italy, funnily enough, and he was an Atari dealer. He stocked Ataris, and I can't remember how I got to know about it. He was across. There was a taxi. The taxi office was there, and then if you went across, you went into Ray's computer shop, and it was just a room. It was no bigger than the size of an average kind of living room, and he had all these computers, and me and my mates. This is before. I mean, I didn't have a computer at that point. We used to go in there on a Saturday morning, and we would just look at the computers. It sounds ridiculous now, but we, as a teenager growing up in the UK, we were so mesmerised with this new technology. We would just go. I was going to say it again there, bloody hell. I'm struggling for what to say now. We would go in and just look at the screen. I mean, I think the first game that I ever saw on the Atari was Summer Games. I remember seeing you remember the gymnastics?
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, that game, even now, looks really impressive. It does.
Is that Epix? Is the one that
Epix?
Yeah,
it was. That's actually I've always said Epix, but it's possibly supposed to be pronounced Epix.
I think it's Epix.
Yeah. Epix, as in Epix. Yeah, I think you might be right. I've just learned something after all these years. But anyway, this game, there was Epix, and then there was Bruce Lee, and I just like this is absolutely phenomenal.
This guy just let you load up whatever you wanted to see, or
no, he was one of these guys. If it sounds a bit.
You've nudged your microphone. I think I can't hear you. I can't hear you. No, I think it must have just nudged. Nope, can't hear you. Nope, nothing.
cry now.
That's it. There we go.
I didn't actually do anything. All I did, I came out of StreamYard and then just went back in again. I don't know. Stupid.
That's weird. Because it's sort of like StreamYard's always seems super stable, doesn't it? It's
I do these live streams every Sunday.
Yeah.
Flawlessly. I don't know why. I have no idea.
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, getting back on the subject before we actually start playing this thing. Ray he was an Atari dealer, and then he started stocking Commodore 64 games. And this was one that I saw. I read the instructions. I didn't read the instructions. I read the back of it, and that was the thing. You don't really hear people getting overly excited with flight simulators. But back in 1983, the thought of like flying a plane on your computer was like, whoa.
Mind-blowing stuff.
Yeah, have you tried any of the more recent like Flight Simulator 2022? They're mental.
Oh no, not tried anything. Not tried any of like the Microsoft flight simulators or anything like that. None of the stuff that really goes for like realism or ones where you can fly.
They're mental. I mean, I've got it on I've got that Game Pass. I've got it on the Xbox, and it's mind blowing how realistic these things look. They are. I was going to say again, they are photorealistic. They really, really are. And the wonderful thing is, you can fly over your house, and all right, it doesn't look exactly like your house, but it's insane. But anyway, getting back to what we're talking about, I was taken in with this game. I thought this looks the dog's bollocks, and I bought it, and I loaded it up, and I gave up after about 10 minutes, and then I quickly realised that I thought, right, there's only one way this game is going to be possible. I'm going to have to bring in other people to kind of help me fly this thing. So one night, my brother-in-law and my mate Gavin, who now lives in America, I've not seen him for years, the three of us were hunched around the Commodore 64 keyboard and attempted to fly this thing. And we crashed and burned big style. And I've never gone back to it since. But I do have a particular reason for loving this game, and it's the music. The music, it's only about, I don't know, maybe about 15 seconds in length. I'm going to we'll hear it when we load the game up. It's a lovely little bit of music, and people will say to me, "Oh, what's your favourite Commodore 64 music?" That is always in my top 10. It's such a short little bit of music. It's beautiful. It's a really nice little bit of music, and for that reason, I'll always have a soft spot for it. But as far as gameplay goes, it can fuck off, honestly. So I think what we'll do before we start, I think we're going to give up pretty quick with this one. We're going to have a quick look at. I've managed to find. Well, I was using a website. There are 3 reviews of this game, so I think we'll just see what the magazines thought of this game. So what I'm going to do, let me open up this. I'm going to look at Zap, and then I'm going to attempt to share my screen. Present, share screen. Hopefully you're going to see that. There we go. There's that magazine. Now, I've even done a bit of preparation, which is something I never do. Where the hell's the text? The README text file going? Oh, there it's there. It's just I'm having to move all the different files across. Right, here we go. Right, Zap, page 100. Let's jump to that. Do you remember that game? I know we're going off topic. This game here, Scooby-Doo. People were blown away with how good the graphics were, and then the resulting game looked nothing like that. I think they quickly realised that they were onto plums, and it came out. I think it ended up becoming a sideways scroller. I mean, you look at it, it's like
the only like Hanna-Barbera kind of game I remember is Hong Kong Phooey on my mate's Amstrad CPC.
I've never had that pleasure, I must admit. But the graphics were pretty good for. Oh, I've just been way too big. Anyway, that's Scooby-Doo. Right, page 100 for this. We'll just quickly jump through. You know what? One of the things that always amazes me about this magazine, when I think back to. I mean, I got Zap magazine from issue 1. I always remember it being like glorious colour, and yet when you actually look at a lot of it, like there you go, there's a lot of black and white, black and white, black and white, black and white. But the only colour was actually the adverts.
Right.
But you
And of
always
course,
remember. I mean, yeah, you always.
the covers as well were well regarded,
Yeah.
weren't they, I think.
I see they must have had a bit of money. Llamasoft, that was an American company, so they had a nice colour one. But anyway, let's get to page 100. I know there's probably a quicker way to get into 100, but I don't know how, so we're just going to have to get my track and field finger by exercise. There we go. Right. Let's see what they're saying here. This was here's part 2 of our article on flight simulators. There are many available for the 64, some cheap, others very expensive. So the Zap team decided it was high time to have a look at them to separate the best from the rest. Right, here we go. This is now that's not a screenshot. That is from something else. Yeah, that was Spitfire Race. Sadly, the one we're going to play looks nothing like that. Anirog's flight path simulates a 737 making a short journey across a range of mountains. This includes takeoff and landing as well. That's good to know. The simulator is presented in standard format of a graphic window at the top of the display and instrument readings covering the rest of the screen. The graphics are only really relevant on takeoff and landing because during the flight, the view through the cockpit window is only plain blue sky. That's a bit of a cop out of that, isn't it? Approaching the mountain ranges result in some pretty peaks slowly scrolling onto the graphics window, only to scroll down again once you have safely flown over them. I think that was part of the problem with this game, is you had no visual indicator as to actually what the fuck you were supposed to be doing. Control is achieved with a combination of joystick and keys. There's the fatal. Yeah, the joystick is used for basic flying movements, banking, diving, and climbing, while keys control flaps, undercarriage, power, and fire extinguisher. There we go, fire extinguisher as well. There are several different difficulty settings that vary mountain height and the destination runway on the higher levels. There you go, that's what you get to see. Other than problems are introduced in the scenario with crosswinds and even engine fires. The increased mountain height provides you with problems when deciding the optimum ascent rate. Yeah, I remember that badly. Ascent. Yeah, the higher the mountains, the harder it becomes to judge. Decreased runway lengths need a greater flying skill to land the airline in such a restricted space. Mostly the graphics are there just as an added bonus. Well, it's always an added bonus having graphics, isn't it?
Can you imagine that? A text adventure flight simulator.
Yeah, though not that helpful. Oh, spelling error, bloody hell. Two L's in helpful. I actually had Gary Penn on the Nice and Nasty last week, or they pulled him up for this. That's atrocious. They do add some atmosphere to the game. The main action depends on the instrument readings. This is the nearest thing to a text-only flight simulator. Did you just read that bit? Did you read that?
I didn't see that. No, I just thought like.
So I was going to say it again. I'm going to say it this one time. It quite literally is a text adventure flight simulator. Even so, the end effect is quite good, creating the right amount of tension at the right moments to keep things interesting. The different difficulty levels work well in Flight Path 737 as they're evenly graded. Documentation is of good quality, providing all the fundamental knowledge needed to operate the game, plus a few tips to help you through the tricky bits. Overall, a nice piece of software that actually attempts to induce some of the tension involved in flying an aircraft. This is far better than trying to provide cheap thrills with air-to-air combat, as quite a few recent Sims do. And graphics, it gets 29%.
Quite generous, I think.
I think it is, actually. It's interesting that they gave it 29. I mean, why not 31 or 16 or something? 29.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a very scientific measurement.
Yeah, interaction 73, authenticity 41. Jesus, if that is an authentic how to fly a game, then it's just as well for passengers around the world that I never became a pilot. And overall 52. So they're kind of saying it's pretty good, and then they absolutely pan it with a 52%. So that was Zap. Your Commodore issue 1. I need to share this again. Hang on. Stop screen. Present video file. Oh, I'm not presenting a video file. I'm presenting the screen, you twat. Right. Commodore. Oh, there we go. Right. And it should be page 34. When did this come out? October 1984. So yeah, that was Jeff from Inter had put out Attack of the Mutant Camels the year before, actually, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Have you picked up a copy of the Jeff Minter story?
I have,
Yeah.
and I'm glad to see your tunes in that as well.
Oh, is it? Right. Yeah, I've not picked it up.
Oh yeah. It's, you know what, it's a lovely. I've got access to all the games anyway. I mean, I've got an original Jaguar, but it's 25 quid. But you know what? I think it's worth every penny. And at the end of the day, if Jeff gets some of that money, I'll be happy, because for a guy that's put so much into this hobby of ours, he's not made a great deal. And I think it says it all about what people think of Jeff. The fact that he's got his own collection. I'm not aware of any other programmer having the same thing. I mean, it was the guys that did the 50th anniversary for the Atari.
Yeah, and that was a really good collection.
It's
that
lovely.
Really
it's really well put together. There's lots of interests and photographs. There's like him taking notes for like Hover Bover. There's some nice videos. There's quite a few of the Llamasoft guys. They take part in it as well. Matt Allen. He was tasked with doing a lot of the scans of magazines and adverts and that kind of stuff. So no, it's a lovely. If you like Llamasoft, it's a great collection.
Nice.
And it's got great music as well. It's got the tune that obviously you did. You've got Gribbles. I think they're all taken from TXK, Corrupt or Gareth Noyce.
Yeah.
His is in it. I've not played it that much, but yeah, it's a lovely package. It really is. Sorry, mate.
I think there's is the music in there's a version of Color Space, isn't there? And is the music in that, or is it just at different points in the?
I've not actually played. I've not really played many of the games. I mean, the games that I have tried, I've just been working my way through. There's I don't know if you've seen the Atari 50. It's
a
timeline. You go along, 1982, blah, 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 and you can go along, and then you can go down, and you can look at the. I mean, I don't know what they've done, how they've done it. I'm getting away. I'm moving. I'm leaning too far, and I'm disappearing off the bloody screen. There's yeah, they've got like the cassette inlays, and you can rotate it, and you've got the cassette, and it's beautifully rendered. I don't know who done the rendering, but it's been really well put together.
Those digital Eclipse guys do a really good job, don't they?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's great. And the really nice thing is not TXK. But I don't think TXK is not available on it, which is a shame, because in my opinion that's the best Tempest there is.
Yeah.
It's the reason that I bought the Vita.
Yeah.
And it's probably the only game that I play in the Vita, to be fair. The music in it is great. The visuals they look like kind of vectors. It's beautiful.
Yeah. But you got that OLED screen on the Vita. Yeah. And it's like really high res, isn't it?
That's right.
I played TXK on the PSVR. And I know everyone's like, that's the ultimate way to play it. But I actually found just fine playing it on the Vita with headphones in, just your screen right up against your face is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aye, that's my favourite, definitely. And you can also play. I think that one of probably the version of Tempest that most people kind of talk about as being the best, I think, was it Tempest 2000 on the Jaguar.
Yeah, the Jaguar one. Yeah.
And what they've done is you can play it at 60 frames per second.
Nice.
So you're playing it kind of as it should be, because there was a bit of slowdown.
Yeah.
And I was really lucky. One of the guys that watches my channel contacted me and says, "Look, send me your Jaguar controller," and I did that, and it came back, and he's put a spinner underneath, which is
Nice.
really nice, so you can actually play it properly, because they were obviously going to include that as an option, even though there wasn't a spinner for the Jaguar, because I think you have to have the two controllers plugged in, and you
That's
have
right.
to press so many buttons, and then it activates a wee sub menu that says use spinner.
Nice.
So really nice. But no, I can let you see it. I can, after this video, I can let you see it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It's lovely. Anyway,
Yeah.
better getting back to what the hell we're actually doing, right? Commodore user, page, what am I looking for? Page 34. Yeah, this is what magazines looked like back in the day, folks. All this kind of bollocks. You typed all this shit in, you ran it, and then it wouldn't work.
Didn't work.
I mean, did you ever type in any of these things at all?
Not out of a magazine, but what I do
No.
have is, let me just have a look. I've got on my bookshelf. I actually threw a few of them away because they were like really ratty. But do you remember the Usborne books?
Oh yeah, I do.
So I had like
Oh,
computer
wow.
battle games and computer space games.
Yeah.
At the time, I had the computer I had was an EACA Color Genie, which was like a based on the TRS-80.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it had the same dialect of BASIC, but because it used to have like it used to have the listing, and then it said, oh, if you've got a BBC Micro, then change these lines. If you've got a Commodore VIC-20, change these lines. If you've got a TRS-80, change these lines. But like, no matter how I typed it in, it didn't really run. But it gave me the idea of like how the logic in games worked and stuff.
And
but
was that what then led you on to actually coding properly? Then was it?
I think so. Yeah, it was a good. I had like I got this thing secondhand, and it came with a book called Z80 Machine Code for Humans, and I used to take it into school and pretended to read it like I knew what it was on about. I just didn't understand it at all, but I'm sure it kind of it's another one of those. It's a really mysterious thing. I've got to actually learn what this is about. To me, a decade or two.
It eventually clicked. That was the thing. There's two types of people. There's people. I mean, when I first got my computer, the Texas, I didn't have any games with it, and so the only thing you could do was type things into the screen to see what happens. But as soon as I had access to games, that was it. I'd stopped. Whereas guys like yourself and Jeff Minter, they thought, oh, actually, I could do better than this, and they went down the programming route. And thanks to guys like yourselves, we have games to play.
It's funny, when I got my ST, it came with First Basic, and I with the Color Genie, it came with like a little book of basic programs, and one of the programs was a clock, and it would use like delay loops in BASIC to kind of count roughly like a second and a minute and stuff. So I typed it into the ST, and obviously the ST is like way quicker than the Color Genie, so all these little delay loops didn't mean anything. It would just like kind of rattle through these numbers. I had like a massive tantrum. I was like, oh, this Atari's rubbish. Like, it's not like running the program properly. And I like was trying to like drag the Color Genie out of the cupboard and stuff and get that plugged in instead, because it was like I just didn't understand that it was because the ST was way better, that it was going to do all the stuff like way too quickly.
But yeah, this is how we entertained ourselves. I mean, it was either, the thing is, when these kind of magazines came out, games were available, but it was probably through like little independent shops like I used to go to, or you had to send off. I mean, it was probably, I don't know, maybe 1984, maybe even as late as 1985. Well, yeah, probably not as late as 1985, but it was only games were kind of very niche. And it was only probably maybe middle of 1984 that shops started to kind of stock games. So the only way you could buy them is either, mail order or type them in, or else if you're like you or Jeff Minter, you coded your own. But yeah, I only ever did. The thing that used to annoy me about the Commodore 64 was computer and video games would publish maybe, I don't know, 10 type-in games. 3 would be for the Spectrum, 2 for the VIC-20, 1 for the TRS-80 and one for the Commodore 64 and maybe one for the VIC-20. And the Spectrum would be like a page and a half for like a Space Invaders clone. The VIC-20 would be like 2 pages for, I don't know, some basic type arcade game. The Commodore 64 would be like 5 pages, and it was some real shitty looking game, but it was like twice the effort. So I never ever did it until one time me and my mate were bored. I thought, why don't we type in this game? And we typed it in. It took us a best part of a couple of hours. He was reading it out, I was typing it. And as soon as we finished, I just typed in run, and it just went to a black screen. And then that was...
You didn't save it or anything?
No, that was it. That was it. The only other time I did type in a game was when Zap, Andrew Braybrook, published a little... it was a basic game, a bit of basic code. I think there might have been a bit of machine code in it. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But anyway, you typed in this listing, and it was all data statements. And what it was meant to do, because Zap had said this is what it was. It was a piece of machine code that increased the speed of the Commodore 64 by something like 15%. I thought, oh, great. So things like a little run better. All you do is you run it, and then you load up the game. And I didn't realise what the date of the magazine was. Typed it in, ran it, and it came up with some fancy screen, April Fool. Like bastard. Dearie me. Anyway, right, we're getting there. We're at page 21. I do apologise if you're expecting us to play a flight simulator. We will get around to it eventually. There you go, Llamasoft. Look at that. How cool is that? Lovely stuff. Again, black and white. Sprite designer. I'll need to get you on just for a Friday waffle, just for a waffle, because we're doing plenty of that rather than doing this. Right, hang on, that was page 32. Page 33. There we go. Right. Oh, balls. Right, Flight Path 737. Oh, this is on the bloody VIC-20. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Right. It says page 34. Page 34. 33. There we go. Right, Commodore 64. Right, £7.95. So that was a thing that always annoyed me. I mean, how much was it on the VIC-20? £7.95. That's just completely taken away my argument. But when I've had Gary Bracey on the channel a couple of times, and I asked him, I says, can you tell me, Gary, why was it when a game came out on the Spectrum it was like £6.95 or £7.95, and on the Commodore 64 it was £2 more? He says, because we could. He says it was as simple as that. He says our rationale was, if you could afford the Commodore 64, you can afford an extra £2. He says,
right, and it was the rich kids 8-bit,
yeah,
wasn't it? So yeah,
that was it. There was no other reason. I says, I sort of rather naively thought, because the Spectrum has got a lowly 48K and the C64 has got an elephantine 64K, it's obviously an extra 50% code. It's going to take twice as long or 50% longer to program it. But no, that was a lot of bollocks. It was
I think that was the argument at the time. That's kind of how they justified it, wasn't it?
Probably, yeah.
Because like the games were always like kind of £5 cheaper on the ST. It's like, it's because it's not got sampled sound. And,
that's right. No. Which is a complete pile of arse. Yeah. So there we go. Right, Flight Path 7. This doesn't sound good. Thank God this isn't really. Say, if it was, either the airline would have run out of undamaged passengers, as opposed to dead.
Run out of.
By now, or my exploits would have been turned into one of those sky-high Hollywood disaster movies. Needless to say, this is not one of the easiest games around. Glad it's not just me.
Well, they're at least describing it as a game, whereas like the Zap review was like, "Oh, this is a piece of software."
A text adventure, yeah, flight sim.
Yeah.
It has to be one of the more addictive. There's no giving up in it until what it first seems like the impossible has been achieved, even if it is only getting the jet safely off the runway and into the air without smashing the flaps to smithereens or breaking the undercarriage off. The trouble is that that is only the beginning. Even, hang on, hopefully that's just fallen. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, you're still there.
Oh yeah, that's bloody thing fell there. I don't want that. I'm going to put the keyboard on top of it. Right, you stay there. The trouble is that that is only the beginning. Even if even in the easiest level, there's a mountain to get over. Then there's a problem of getting the plane down again safely on the runway without trying to tunnel beneath it. Like any flight simulator, Flight Pass 737 requires a high degree of eye-hand memory, oh God, and general brain coordination. As a representation of our aircraft flight deck, the screen is crammed full of flight information heading, airspeed, altitude, fuel flaps, and undercarriage status and distance from home, including a view from the cockpit window. Flying the 737 requires a combination of joystick and keyboard control plus a propensity not to panic. Just in case by some freak chance you manage to You manage to software spotlight. That doesn't make any sense. What?
I think, copy editing error there, I think.
Just in case, I'll read that out again. Just in case by some freak chance you manage to software spotlight 8, cope with your first solo flight. Bloody hell. There are 5 other skill levels to tackle, all of which progressively shorten the runway and increase the height of the mountains, whilst throwing in the odd onboard fire and last-minute crosswinds on landing. Getting your wings won't be easy, so whatever you do, don't panic. If I had to criticise a game at all, and I feel reluctant to do so, it would be on the basis that there is a tendency to master each level stage at a time. If it's a landing you're always having trouble with, getting to that stage can be a bit of an unnecessary obstacle. The addition of a practice level would be a welcome solution. It doesn't actually. I take it that's 4 stars out of 5. I mean, just reading that. If I'd read that back in 1984, I would have ran a mile. There's no way I would have bought the damn thing.
I could not read that without thinking Dominic Diamond would have had a field day talking about flaps and undercarriage and cockpits.
Yeah, and holding your joystick in one hand, etc., etc. And thrust.
But yeah, it doesn't really kind of make you want to rush down to Smith's the next day and pick up a copy.
No, it does not. It does not. Right, we'll just lead the last review before we head on blindly into whatever it is we're going to look at. Right, issue number 33. This is computer and video games. Let me just get that like that. Make that a bit smaller. You can actually see it. Right, stop screen. And then we want to present. I want to share this screen. And we want to go to. There we go. Right, there's. Oops, you can't see it yet. There we are. There's Daley Thompson. When was that? Yeah, 1984. 85 pence. Bloody hell! You can't buy anything for 85 pence anymore. Right, page 44. I'll try and get straight to it without getting distracted. It's funny. Sorry, I've got distracted already. It's funny that was it was things like that made you buy a game. Whoa,
yeah,
look at that Birds of Prey. Bloody hell, that looks amazing.
It's gonna look exactly like that.
That was it. You looked at the screen. You looked at the cover, and that was what made you rush out and buy it. What we're looking for, page 44. Right, I'll try and 41, 42, 43, 44. Right, let's have a look at the last solo flight. That was a good game. Right, anyway, Flight Pass 737. £7.95. Nice one, Anirog. This flight simulation puts you in the driving seat of a 737, which you have to pilot over a mountain range and land safely at your final destination. Sounds simple, but it takes a lot of talent to do it just right. You begin in the ground at an airfield, and just as in real life, you must taxi your aircraft onto the right runway ready for takeoff. Once you've found the runway, it's all systems go for a flight. Rev up and blast along the head for the wide blue yonder. As soon as you're airborne and you have to watch your height, too low and you'll smash into the mountains, then after a short cruise over the mountain range, it's time to come down to earth. If you land successfully, you'll get a score and a recommendation to proceed to the next level. The graphics are not in the stunning class, under oh yeah, that's a under thing me if ever I heard, but are more than adequate. The instrumentation is good and fairly easy to read. You also get a view from the pilot's seat too, A strip above the instruments shows first the airstrip as you take off, the mountains as you cruise over them, and the landing strip as you come back down again. At first, I found it difficult to control the jet. It's a jet now. I thought it was a bloody plane. Now they're changing it to jet. You have to keep one hand on the joystick and the other on the keyboard to control speed, undercarriage, and flaps, etc. But with a bit of practice and a cool head, you'll soon be flying. The tape comes with a fairly comprehensive instruction leaflet. I can't remember that at all, but it could be better. There is some really important information missing. For instance, the instructions don't tell you exactly how to get to your correct runway. That's a major flaw right away and take off. Once your jet is on the correct heading, you have to center the heading indicator arrow again. It took me some time and several bent 737s to work out exactly what I was doing. That gripe aside, Flight Path 737 is a good simulation and has some of the best music, there we go, I've yet heard on the 64. I sat for ages just listening to it, but please, Anirog, improve the instructions, and it gets a 7 across the board.
Nice.
So, yeah, 1 mediocre review and 2 kind of 7 out of 10s, but they all say it's bloody impossible. So, right, I think we should have a go at this. Do you want to go first, or shall I go first? Are you kind of set up and ready to go, or?
I've got it loaded up in the emulator.
Right, well, tell you what, right, do you want to, what I'll do is I will, I don't know if you can see the instructions at the same time. What I'll do is, and I can't share them because we're going to be sharing your screen, I will stop that like so, and I will bring up the instructions.
I'll just present my emulator window.
I'll be thinking 44 minutes in and I haven't even loaded an emulator yet. what are they doing? There we go. So, excellent. Can you hear the music in that by any chance?
So I've paused the emulation at the moment.
Oh, right.
So if I unpause,
did you enable sound by any chance when you were?
Yeah, I think sound's on.
Yeah.
There you go. Can you hear that?
I can hear it. The sound isn't great through StreamYard, but I think it's a lovely little tune. I'll stop talking for a second.
It's all right, isn't it? Does the job.
It's a nice little loopy music. Yeah, I think it's lovely. Right. Hang on. How do I move this? Right. I'm going to attempt to kind of explain what you need to do.
Okay.
I think we'll give it 5-10 minutes unless you store them off beforehand, and then I'll have a go. Right, I'm suggesting we go for number 1, I think. Or I don't know what difference is on a test pilot is obviously, test pilot is 1 above professional, presumably, isn't it?
I think let's go for
you pick, yeah.
Let's just go for 1. So this is pure flight simulator, isn't it? It's not like Super Huey where you had
there's nothing. No, there's nothing actually.
Cool.
I think each level just involves more keys you have to press, but
right.
So what are you going to go for?
I've gone for 1.
Right, now this is
solo.
This is the important part. You need to take a wee note of this. In fact, I'll take a note of it so we don't forget. Right, so I'm going to delete that. I can move him over there. Right, delete that. So what do we need to do? Is cross the mountain range 5,000. So the mountains are 5,000 feet high. 5,000 feet high. You have 3 miles of runway on which to land. Well, that sounds pretty. That
sounds like loads.
3 miles, yeah. I mean, what are we panicking about? 3 miles of runway. Okay, and your landing may be a little clumsy.
You don't say.
Presumably you can hit the deck with the wing first, and we'll be absolutely fine. Right, it's over to Pilot Juno.
Okay. Press spacebar to fly.
Have you got your joystick in hand?
I've got keyboard, so do I need to map? Is it? Oh yeah, no, it's a joystick and keyboard game, isn't it?
It's joystick and keyboard, yeah.
So let's just have a look.
Now I have to say the actual action window is a lot smaller than I remember it to be. I mean, it's probably about a quarter of the size of the screen.
Yeah, that's about right, isn't it?
It's a bit cheeky, and as you say, it has ripped off Jeff's font from Attack of the Mutant Camels. Or was it Attack of the Mutant Camels? Was that the first one to feature it? Because Grid Runner, that was
might have been Grid Runner, yeah. So on the Commodore 64, so I'm just going in my joystick settings here, and it's got joystick number 1, none, joystick number 2, numpad. So is the default joystick number 2 on the Commodore 64? Or
yes, it was. It was. That was usually the one. I can't remember what the reason was. There was a reason. Apparently, it was easier to program for it. There was less kind of faff.
Okay.
But yeah, joystick number 2. So if you press C at the bottom, you'll see it's where it says joysticks. If you press the numeric keypad, you should see the little indicators lighting up to show that's a kind of joystick.
Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to configure key set A. Hang on.
Excuse me.
Fire would just be.
I can't even remember if the fire button does anything. Use your joystick to simulate aircraft joystick controlling heading and rate of ascent, descent.
Right. Okay, so I've got some keys mapped to the
have you got, when you press them, does it can you light up at the bottom? There we go, left.
Oh yeah.
Is that fire button? Yep, left, right, up, down, right. Cool. We're sorted. Right. You see, quite possibly you might have actually nailed this because you're using keys, whereas I was using the joysticks. I don't think you could actually use. I don't think you could control it. That was the thing about the C64, because it had a joystick built in, or two actually. You never really had the option to use keys. So this was joystick only plus keys, if you know what I mean. Whereas you're using keys, so it might make it easier. We shall wait with bated breath. Right. So what you want to do here is playing the game as pilot of this high-performance jet airliner. Okay, right, jet airliner. You must take off from an airfield surrounded by high mountains, and having climbed over them, prepare yourself in the jet for a landing at an airfield in the valleys below. You will only ever have enough fuel for one attempt at landing. Right, first select your playing level. Start with first solo. On higher levels, you are hindered by, it says Huron Mountains. It should be higher mountains, crosswinds, engine fires, etc., etc. So I think we've gone for number 1, haven't we?
Yes, we have. Yeah.
Yeah, which was whatever it was, solo flight. Right, first select. You've just done that. Right, taxiing. Here we go. Press F1 to start taxiing at 20 knots.
Okay. All right, we're moving forward.
Oh, we're moving. The one thing that annoyed me about this game is look at the white line. Why is it all shit? It's all kind of broken up.
Yeah.
That always annoyed me in this game. It did annoy me, to be fair. Right. Press 1 to start taxiing at 20 knots. Note runway heading, RH, and turn aircraft to line up runway.
Okay. So that'll be with the joystick, yeah?
Yes, it'll be left and right. Are you not already lined up with the runway?
Kind of looks like it, doesn't it?
Right. No, to be fair, Commodore user did say that it was a bastard to actually. It doesn't tell you how to go into the runway. Note runway heading, RH, and turn aircraft to line up runway.
So I mean, I am, but it's not changing that number.
Where's RH? I can't even see RH. Where's RH?
Oh,
Oh,
down,
yeah,
bottom
RH.
left.
100.
Yeah, it just
Yeah,
says
100.
161. But if I try...
Note runway heading, RH, and turn aircraft to line up runway.
I'm just going to... Yeah, that doesn't seem to be changing anything.
It's not like you're actually... I mean, you're on a runway at the moment, surely.
Yeah. I'm just going to stick it in the middle of the screen. Surely that's right.
Yeah, I think we should give it a go, because you're not... It only lets you... It's only moving you so far to the side, isn't it? It's not actually...
Yeah.
It's not actually...
Or is it? You see above the... I don't know if you can see my mouse, but you see...
I can see that.
You see where it says 167?
Mm-hmm.
So am I meant to match that? I'm meant to make that say one. So it's telling us where the runway heading is.
Possibly.
So let's try.
Like it says, the magazine did allude to the fact that it doesn't actually tell you how to. Right, when.
So I need to get back a little bit. I think that's what it is.
Oh, right. So RH, right. I think you're right. I think you might be right. So RH is saying 161. So you have to position it to 161.
Yeah.
Right. Got you right. You're going a bit slightly too far. It doesn't actually tell you that in the instructions. There we go.
And it's like, is 160 okay? Is 162 all right? Does it have to be that?
I'm going to say a big fat no. It's not going to be okay. Is it one of these inertia annoying games where you keep overshooting all the time?
Yeah, it's like trying to get like 10 quid exactly on a petrol pump,
I'm convinced I have stopped it bang on 20 quid, and then you put the nozzle back in it, and then it goes ding, £20 on one. Right, there we go, 161. Yeah. So we're going to. It doesn't actually tell you that. It just says note runway heading and turn aircraft to line up runway. So yeah, what it means is you need to note the runway heading number, and then you need to line up the number. So I think we're in the right direction. Okay, we've done that. Put flaps down for takeoff. Now, where does it tell you?
V.
Flaps down is V. Yeah. Well, have you got the instructions open as well?
Yeah.
You can see that, right? If you keep the keys there, that's good. Right. Yep. Put flaps down for takeoff. Now, I think before we start getting carried away with ourselves and increasing speed and all that nonsense, I think we need to just read ahead to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you've got the flaps down. You're still moving forwards, I think. Yeah. Put flaps down for takeoff. So don't do it yet. Increase speed to at least 180 knots. Where's the speed about? Altitude, the distance.
So F1, F3, F5.
Where's the speed about? Distance, fuel, time, flaps. What's RS? Is that RSI at the top right?
ASI, I think.
Average speed indicator.
Yeah. So you see that the function keys, it says F1, so you can like plus or minus 10 or 20 knots.
Right. Is that moving when you press it?
Well, let's try. So if I
give it a go, get ready to just take it back again. Right, it is. It's going up by 10.
Yeah. So what do we need to be?
Right. So what? Right. Put flaps down for takeoff. Increase speed to at least 180 knots, but no more than 200. So in other words, what it wants to say is between 180 and 200. So we can go for 185. Otherwise, you'll damage the flaps. We don't want you to damage flaps.
Don't want that. So I think it seems to be that each time you press the speed thing, I'm not sort of I've pressed it so that it says 100. It's not increasing anymore. I have to press it again for it to increase.
Okay.
So that's good. That indicates we should have quite a bit of control over what it should be. So it's just, I think, that's.
Oh yeah, well, you can see you're getting a bit of speed now. So I don't know what you want. You can decide.
Oh. What? Game over.
Yeah, it's just as I remember. Right, okay, right. Lesson learned. What were you were doing 180 there, weren't you?
Yeah, it's doing 180,
Yeah.
and it only increases when you press the button when you press F1. So it's not like it's not like you've got to try and tether it back at some point. You just like press it. From what I could tell, you just
Right.
press it
So I
until it
think
gets.
what we need to do is So what we need to do is we need to get it. So it says to at least, or it says to at least. I'm assuming it means least 180 knots, but no more than 200. So I'm thinking if we go for 190, then
Yeah.
it's not gonna give us that bollocks about going too slow.
All right.
Then it says take off and climb. Pull joystick back to take off.
Okey
And then this is when it gets complicated. Once above 300 feet, you can retract undercarriage and flaps. I don't even is there a key for undercarriage?
Yeah, A and Z, but it didn't say
Oh
anything
right.
about undercarriage.
Oh, so that's the wheels. That undercarriage is wheels to you and I, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So you need to be aware. So you've got the undercarriage up, which is A, and you've got the flaps. What does it say again? Pull joystick back to take off. Once above 300 feet, you can retract undercarriage and flaps. So undercarriage up. Is it up? Is retracting it putting it up, or is it putting it down?
Yes. The undercarriage is obviously down at the moment because we're on ground.
All right. So
So
you
that's
want
what
to
it means
put
by
up.
yeah.
So
So yeah,
you're right.
once you're in the air, you'd retract the flaps again.
So let's see. Flaps up is F, and undercarriage up. Undercarriage up is A. Right. Okay. Right. So pull to once above 300 feet, you can retract undercarriage and flaps. When you raise undercarriage, the speed increases by 5 knots. All right. So take care not to exceed the maximum flap down speed. So see, there you go. If we had gone to 200 and then you lift the bloody flaps, it would put us over 200.
Got it. All right.
So we want to be at 190. God, with flaps up, the stalling speed is 180 knots. So I think the key is 190. I think.
So I need to start taxiing, don't I?
Yeah. So what do we need to do here again? So you're select your playing level, done that. Press F1 to start taxiing at 20 knots, not runway heading. So you need to line up the runway heading. Yep, you're doing that just now. It's 152.
There we go.
Then you want to put the flaps down for takeoff. So flaps down is V. Okay. Then let's see. Put flaps down for tail. Increase speed to at least 180 knots. Well, we know that you want to do 190. Now, I'm hoping at this point we don't actually run out of runway, because we've obviously been coasting for quite a bit. Well, you'll see our fuel's falling like a bloody a rocket. It's plummeting, and we're not even off the bloody ground yet.
So I need to pull the joystick back now, don't I?
Yep, you want to pull the joystick back. Once you're above 300 feet, where's altitude? Altitude, right? You're at 166, 202. I'll give you the nod, right? Or above 300, right? You want to flap.
Oh, shit. I should have done the undercarriage first, shouldn't
I? Right, take off and climb. Wait a minute. Once above 300, you can retract undercarriage and flaps. To be fair, it doesn't actually tell you what order. So because
it makes sense that you do the because the flaps are the things that cover the undercarriage, isn't it?
Well, the flaps are the bits in the wings that actually make you go up and down, isn't it?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. 2 fails. Yeah, glad it's not just me. Right, let's give it a go again. So you want to, what is it? Press F1 to start taxiing at 20 knots, and you want to. We're good at lining up the runway.
This is all right. Yeah, it's quite easy. Actually. Not too bad.
We've nailed that bit. Right, now we want to put the flaps down. which is flaps down is V.
Yep.
In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do a little. So flaps down is V. Yeah. Okay. Then you want to taxi to 190.
Shit. that was overzealous pressing of F1. I mean, it's easy to get, but you know, with Super Huey, it was like, oh fucking hell, I've got to like do all this like type POW and press F7 and do all this stuff. You're kind of back in the game quite quickly.
It's the problem with this game is it happens so fast, everything, and it's just like it's boom. It doesn't give you any indication. It doesn't give you any indication that you're going to fuck up. It just bang, game over. You're fucked up. Start again. I'm thinking
tell you what you've done wrong. Whereas with Super Huey, it was like, okay, we've crashed. Why?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what's
that's true.
Yeah.
I think you should have 5 attempts. Is this attempt number 3? I think it is
4, maybe. I think
4 is it?
4.
Yeah, I can tell you're kind of not overly keen in playing it. F1, right? So you're taxing at 20 knots. You've got the RH. Now we want to. So the key was, I think we fucked up the last twice because we weren't quick enough to get the flaps up. Did you manage to get the undercarriage up?
The last crash was because I overshot on the speed.
Now you can see there is a visual indicator of your undercarriage, the little 3 computer generated graphics. Presumably that's the wheels, and they're in the down position. So when you press them up, they will then jump up. Right, so you're getting to 180 speed. Oh, right. Now you want to climb to 300, and then you want to put your undercarriage up, which is A, and then F. So get to 300,
and then
you hold it together. Hold it together. You want to get to 300, and then you want to press A for undercarriage, and then F for flaps. No flaps.
Huh?
With flaps up? Wait a minute. Oh, right. Wait a minute. Hang on. Yeah, it says here once above 300 feet, you can retract undercarriage and flaps. Now you've got to put the flaps down to take off.
Yeah.
So presumably retracting it is the opposite of down, which is up.
Yeah.
Which means you press F.
That's how I read it.
Excuse me. Don't need to care for your eardrum. Yeah, that's. Could it be that the instructions are wrong? I think we give it one more go with following instructions. Then I think if it still doesn't work, I think we keep the flaps up because. Oh wait a minute! The flaps when you put them up, the plane goes up like that. I think it goes up like that, and then when you level the flaps, it's going to presumably be hovering. It's going to be going in a straight line.
Yeah.
But then wait a minute. The mountains are 5,000 feet. All right, take off and. All right, okay, right. Because what I'll do is I'll just read on here. So right, pull joystick back to get to 300 when you can retract undercarriage and flaps. Blah, 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 blah. Increase speed and climb to at least the height of the mountains, which is 5,000. I'm thinking we give it a go. We'll try it again and follow what it says. We'll do the undercarriage, then the flaps. If it comes up that you've raised the flaps, then we'll only bother with undercarriage and we'll leave the flaps where they are because you're only at 300 feet and we've got to climb to 5,000. So you're obviously going to want to keep the flaps down.
Yeah.
So I think the instructions are wrong.
I'll give it one more go.
Give it another go.
When I crash, I'll hand it over to you, and then.
Thanks very much.
So
F1 to start. Excuse me, still getting over this bloody cold.
So the runway heading's pretty.
Right. So you've got your runway heading. Yeah. Is that 203? Yeah, it's
203,
203.
yeah.
Right, okay, and then you want to get your undercarriages up, which is down, which is fine. Your flaps are up, which is fine. Now you want to get to 300. No, you want to get to 180, 190 knots. 190 knots.
Okay. So flaps down, increase to 190.
It's an interesting thought that we're probably the only two people in the entire world that are actually playing this game anymore. Right, there we go. Right, 190. Now you want to do the undercarriage up, which is A, and that the little graphical thing should go to.
Oh, do I not need to pull the joystick back? I haven't taken off yet.
Have you not taken off?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm jumping the gun. Right, sorry, that was my fault. Right, yeah, sorry. I'll let you do that again.
Well, I mean, I think I've had my 5 goes.
Do you want to give it one? Give it one last go. I think give it one last go, and we'll
Right.
Okay. You're not getting off that easy. Right, so yep, RH is lined up. So we can start to get a wee bit ahead of ourselves here. That's fine. Taxi, you know that. F1. Increase speed to at least 180 knots. 190, sorry. So let's see. 190 knots. And then yeah, we want to pull back. So the speed, oh, you're doing that, that's fine. Now we want to, when we get above 300, I think we need to raise undercarriage, which is A, but I would wait until we get above 300. In theory, you should be able to lift the wheels up now, but I think we should maybe just stick with it.
Do what they say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, undercarriage up. That's fine. Now it's telling you to put the flaps up. Do you want to try that, or should we just keep climbing?
I'll give it a go, because it does say retract. It doesn't say you have to, does it?
Once above, you can retract.
Accent too slow. Accent to slow.
I presume it meant ascent, but anyway, I know that was my accent too slow. Ascent too slow? You were climbing it. You were doing 190 knots.
Yeah, so I think maybe it's well, it said with the flaps up, the stalling speed is 100. Oh no, I had my flaps down, didn't I?
You did. No, you had your flaps up. Oh no, wait a minute.
No, down. I put my undercarriage up, but then we were like, oh well, we still got like a few thousand feet to climb, so we might as well keep the flaps down.
You put your flaps. Right, wait a minute. Right, you start off with your flaps down, and then it's telling you when you get to 300 feet, you can raise undercarriage. And flaps. Then it says with flaps up, which is what you're doing, the stalling speed is 180 knots. So presumably, as long as you're going more than 180 knots, then you're not going to stall.
Do you know what? I'm starting to see what CNVG were saying about the instructions.
Yeah, being a pelly wank, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, shot. Do you want? Can I convince you to have another shot, or do you want me to have a crack at it?
I'll give it another go. you give
it one final go.
Sure.
That said, ascent was too slow, right? So F1, get your RH lined up.
200, right?
I wonder what's going on with that white line. I mean, it's all kind of corrupted, and then as it gets closer, it's kind of fine.
And it's not like it's not like they've had to use like the Commodore 64 character set or anything like that. It's like moving at pixel intervals. So
I mean, the graphical artist for this game was hardly taxed. No pun intended. I mean, it was like, right, I need you to do some cloud base, I need you to draw a white line to simulate a runway, and he quite literally couldn't manage
it kind of
that,
smacks
but,
of programmer art, doesn't it? Really, I think. So I'm got my heading. So now
200,
I need to
yeah, and you want to put your flaps down.
down.
Yep, flaps down is V. Yep,
Cool.
okay.
Then I've got to go to. So
And it shows you.
So it says at least 180 knots. Why are we going for 190 instead?
Because, and I think it's because it says there the flap stop with stalling speed 180. It just says but no more than 200. So I thought let's go in the middle. We'll go between 180 200. Gives you a wee bit of leeway. So we want to get to 190, right, and then you're pulling back, and then when you get to 300. We do just now. We then want to put the undercarriage up. I mean, in theory, you should be able to put the undercarriage up now. You shouldn't have to because
I'll wait until 300 and then I'll do undercarriage and flaps.
Yeah, there you go. That's quite clearly talking a lot of bollocks. Right, shall I have a go?
Yeah. Please do. I'll try and I've got the instructions here, so
well, I've got some minimal instructions. Right, let's see if I can get this thing working. So I'm going to remove that like so. In fact, if you can,
shall I stop sharing my?
Yeah, if you can stop sharing, that would be wonderful. Right, what I now need to do is because I'm using the Mister, I can't display that. So what I've got to do is I've got to use OBS. Let's see. There we go. And then I want to do full screen that. And then I want to do present. I want to do share screen. And then is it that? Oh no, it's not that. Hang on. Full screen projector. I don't know if there's any sound with this. You know, it doesn't matter. There's bugger all sound in the game, I think, anyway.
There's a bit of music which we've heard, and then there was like a little kind of white noise thing. When
right. Okay, here we go. I'll show you how it's done. Yeah, right. Right. I've got my keyboard, and I've got a joystick, so I'll give this a go. Oh, that bloody microphone keeps falling on the floor. I know it's going to disconnect again. Hang on. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, you're still...
Right, good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the mouse mat on top of it. You behave yourself. Right. Okay, so what do we need to do? We need to do number 1. Press spacebar to fly. If only it was that easy. Right. It looks just as bad in real life as it does on your shared screen. So, right, now that's not working. So it's probably swap joysticks. Right, that's wait a wee minute. I just need to probably set the keys up. That's what I'll be. Define C64. Right, left, down, up, fire. I think that should be that. No.
I don't think fire gets used at all anyway, does it? I think it's
I don't think it does. Right? Why is that not working? Try. Is it? Right, that's not working. Right. Why is that? Swap joysticks. That should. So I'm trying. So just pressing left and right should be turning it. Is that correct?
You've got to start taxiing first, so you need to start.
Right. So it's F1.
Press F1.
There we go.
Start taxiing at 20 knots.
And then probably need to swap the joysticks again. Yes. Is that doing anything? Nah, ding do. Right.
Cool.
There we go.
So yeah, it it makes it go quicker the further left you have it, but then you
right.
yeah,
Come on.
you might as well just
Come
gonna
on.
keep it on the one.
Look at that
Oh, you
first
done
time.
it. Like a pro.
Right, so now what do we need to do? We need to tax it to 180.
So you need to put the flaps down.
All right. Tell you what, can you tell me just before I'm going to put into my little text box, what is to increase speed again?
F1 increases
F,
by 20 knots.
hang on.
F3 increases by 10.
Hang on, I'll use 2 seconds. So F1 is 20 knots. 20 knots. And what was the F3 was?
Increased by 10.
F3, 10 knots.
And to decrease by 10 knots, it's F5.
F5.
And then F7.
And that's sort of decrease.
Yeah.
10 knots. And then let me guess, F7 is decreased by 20 knots.
You got it.
Decrease 20 knots. Right. Okay, right. We've not actually used any fuel yet, which is good. So now what we want to do, we need to put the flaps down, did you say? Flaps down is V.
Yeah, flaps down is V.
Right, it helps if you press the right keyboard. Press the, there we go, flaps down. Okay. Now
And then you now need to increase to at least 180 knots.
And then that's when you start pulling back in the joystick. So let's go we'll go for F3. Oh no, we can do F1. Where's the speed about there? It's there. Oh, bollocks. Hang on. It helps if I press the right keyboard. I'm pressing F1 and it's opening a new bloody Firefox window.
Oh no.
I'll need to move that out of the road. Stop touching that one. Right. Where are we? F1. 40, 60, 80, 100. Is it 190 we want to go to, do you reckon?
Yeah.
60, 80, 190. Now we want to pull back to 180 and then pull back.
So yeah, pull the joystick back and then the altitude in the top left starts increasing.
And then we're going to be doing the undercarriage, aren't we?
We've got yeah, pull joystick back to take off. Once above 300 feet, you can retract undercarriage and flaps.
Right, I'm going to. Right, okay. Right, I should be going stable now. I can do the undercarriage up, which is A, I think.
That's right.
Oh, bollocks.
Yeah.
Ascent too slow, or accent too slow. Yeah, anyway, his grasp English isn't the best, but anyway, right. let's get back in again. God, we'd almost completed Super Huey is a walk in the park compared to this thing.
Right.
Honestly. Right. Let's start again. So F1, and then we want to get 252. So why was it saying ascent too slow? Because I was doing 100 and whatever it was.
Yeah, and that seemed to be as soon as you put the undercarriage up, it said that, didn't it?
Yes, it did. I know.
Yeah. Because you did you then push forward to try to get it like stable?
Yeah.
I try not doing that. I think you're going to get the same thing, but
so I want to keep it climbing. Right, hang on.
Yeah, and maybe sort of like really pull back so it goes up to 300.
There we are. Right, we want to put the flaps to. I'm going to make this README file a wee bit bigger so I can actually read everything. There we go. Right, flaps down is V.
V.
There we go. And now we want to increase the speed, which is going to be F1.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Right, and then F3, so 190, and then we can now start lifting up, I think.
Adjust it back. So
Good.
maybe sort of like just really go for it. You know, make it, yeah.
Yeah.
But then you've got to be quick on the undercarriage, and so quickly press A.
Oh, below flap stall speed. That's a new one. You need to remember there was me and two mates attempted to play this at the same time, and we were doing just as well as you and I are getting on here, honestly.
So you managed to get it off the ground and everything?
Well, no, we got as far as what we've managed to do so far.
Right.
You know, it's like we quite literally, like my mate had one job. He was like the flaps man, and it was still getting problems. Right, F1. Right, that's 2 attempts for me. Let's see, get that to 199. 7, 8, 9. Boof. Right.
On the nose.
And now we want to
flaps down.
Flaps down. Obviously, I was forgetting that. Flaps down is V. There we go. And then we want to press F1. And, and 190, and then we want to just pull it back.
Yeah, so maybe
you'll see the air. Wait a minute. You'll see the airspeed is dropping as I'm climbing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
Oh, bollocks. Right, I went 200. I don't know if you noticed, it went to like 175. So
yeah.
Fucking hell.
So
right.
Maybe don't kind of pull back on the joystick so that the so that sort of gauge in the middle is sort of kind of like 2 or 3 knots. So like in the middle of the
I don't want to climb so fast because if you're obviously going up, if you're going up at like I don't know what it'd be, like a 10% angle, you're almost climbing vertically. What I need to press F1 to start. F1 to start taxiing, and then get that to that, like so. Get that there, and then we want to put the flaps down, which is V, and then we want to get the speed up again, which is going to be 40, 60, 80, 120, 140, 160, 180, 220, 240, 26. Oh, I'm going fucking hell. What am I doing? You twat. I'm fucking idiot. Right. Exceeded flap speed. Bloody hell, right.
It does feel a bit more intuitive than Super Huey, though, doesn't it? Like when you crash and then you go back into it, you're like, oh yeah, I've got to press F1 and do this.
Yeah.
Super Huey is like, oh, what the fuck am I, like, what's this? What have I got to do with the mouse again? Whereas like the first 3 or 4 steps to this are kind of.
I think it'd be one of these. I think it'd be one of these games when you actually manage to do it. Be like, yes, fucking get in. Yeah, and I would be updating my Facebook status. You know what I mean? I managed to take off in flight path. Right, F1. Now we need to go a bit across here. Bring it in a wee bit. 2, 3. Right, okay, and then flaps down is V. Okay, and then we want, right, so I'll not be so smart. I'll actually look at what I'm doing. 40, 60, 80, 100, 20, 40, 60, 80, 190. Then we want to pull back a wee bit. Pull back a wee bit. Come on. Now you'll see the speed is going down a wee bit, 187. So should I maybe give it an extra?
Maybe 10, give it some thrust.
10. Yeah. There we go, 192. So that's fine. So maybe that's what I want to do. Keep an eye on it, 188. Yeah. So I'll give it another 10. Right. And now we're above 300. So undercarriage up, which is A. Right. Now we need, so you need to keep, I think the key is keeping an eye on the speed because it's.
What?
That was 191. It went. It was 191, and then it just stopped. I think that's the key is about keeping the speed, but that was That was
like well spotted about the knots and stuff. I think that's
it was dropping. Yeah. So right, let's give it another go. F1. F to 184. You go across there, and then we want to do V for flaps down, and then we want to do 40, 60, 80, 100, 20, 40, 60, 80. That should take me to 180 if the computer buffers it correctly. There we go, and then we want to give it another 10 just for good measure, and then we want to pull up, and then we want to keep an eye on the speed.
So I think when you've got it to 300, do the undercarriage, and then pretty quickly after that, pull back on the joystick and just increase the speed.
Yeah, right. Let's keep an eye on that. So it's 195. So undercarriage is V. A.
Yeah.
A. Right.
Right. Now you want to try and get to the right. You want to really now try and pull back to get to the
bollocks. It went to 180. It went to 189. As soon as it dipped below 190.
Yeah.
It stalled.
So when you get to that stage, I think you can then really start climbing. You really want to try and get it pretty quickly towards that 5,000.
Because I don't think you get penalised for going above like 200 anymore, do you?
I don't think so. Sure. No, it's anyway. Well, with flaps up, the stalling speed is 180 knots, but you got your flaps down anyway.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Right,
let's get this across. Seven. Oh, all right, back there. Right, flaps down, V, and then we want to go 40, 60, 80, 100, 20, 40, 60, 80, plus 10. That should take me to 190. And then we want to start taking off, and then I want to keep an eye on the speed. So 187, we'll give it a 10 just to boost it. Okay. If you can let me know when altitude gets to 300, I'll press A. I'm going to give it another.
Okay, press A.
Right, press A. And then should I give the speed a bit more?
Yeah, speed and ascent. You really want to like...
Oh, bollocks, you've exceeded... I wonder, that doesn't make any sense. So do we then... Because it did mention about lifting the flaps.
Yeah,
so yeah, because I think I exceeded the speed there. We got penalised because we were going too fast.
It does say about when you raise the undercarriage, the speed increases by 5 knots. So take care not to exceed the maximum flap down speed. But yet the flaps aren't. Oh yeah, the flaps are down, aren't they?
Yeah. The flaps are down. So do we try? Because when you were lifting them, it was saying that the flaps, it was penalising us for that. Right, let's give it another go.
So I think. Yeah, I still think you got to. Yeah, you got to keep the knots around about that 190-ish. Then I think.
Yeah, because I went. I think I might have taken it over. Did I take it over 200? I might have taken it over 200.
You might have done, yeah.
So it doesn't tell you anywhere about you've got to keep the speed at 190, does it? It doesn't mention that.
There's this kind of like vague, sort of veiled reference to keeping the speed reasonably consistent, because it says you can above 300 feet you can retract undercarriage and flaps. It doesn't say you have to.
You have to.
It just says you can if you want to. When you raise the undercarriage, the speed increases by 5 knots. So obviously you've got to be careful about the stalling speed of the flaps.
So you reckon if we try and keep it like between 190 and 200 or something then?
Yeah, so it says with the flaps up, the stalling speed is 180 knots, but it doesn't actually say what the flaps down stalling speed is. So you still got your flaps down at this point.
Because you were lifting them, and it was just instantly game over.
Yeah.
Right, so
immediate,
40, 60, 80, 1, 20, 40, 60, 80 plus 10. That should be 190. All right, let's get airborne. Again, if you can keep the eye on the altitude, that'd be wonderful.
Sure.
And I will just keep the speed up, 192. Oh, 200. Fuck, I was right on the money there. Right, 200.
Okay, it's coming up. So
And it's A.
undercarriage up.
A. And then, well, I keep the speed. Right, it's 197. Let's watch the speed here. When it gets 190, I'm going to press 10. 10. 190.
Nice.
Right. Let's see at what point. Hell.
I don't get it.
I think we give it one more go and we just fucking go for it. We'll just turn the arse out it and see what happens.
I think if after the next go, try test pilot. It might be a bit more forgiving. Maybe I don't know. But...
I don't know whether test pilot. I'm assuming test pilot is
that's actually like the best.
Aye, that's what I was thinking. Rather than like testing the pilot, you're actually a test pilot to test planes.
Yeah.
Stunt pilot part time. Right, we'll give this one more go and see how we get on. Right, so F1 and then flaps down, which is V, and then we want to go to 161. One. Oh, bugger. Right, get back. Right, and then we want to get the speed up. So 40, 60, 80. 1, 40, 60, 80 plus 10 is 190. Oh, plus 20. Right, then we can start to take off, and I'll just keep an eye on the speed again. Okay, and then undercarriage ups A.
Okay, so you want to get your undercarriage up.
Okay. Right, 185.
So really pull back on the joystick, I think, and.
I think we'll lift undercarriage and then I just hammer it. I'll take it to 250 and see what happens.
Yeah.
Will we give that a go before we officially throw the towel in? Yeah. I don't know. Do you want another shot at all, or you happy to?
You have this one, and then maybe I'll have another go. But
give it. Yeah. See if you can get the speed better. Right. So F1. And then we'll do flaps down, which is V, and then we want to get it to 208. and this is exactly what I remember it to be. Quite simply, couldn't take off. It's proven pretty. It's consistent if nothing else. Right, so we've done that. We've got the flaps down, so we can go 40, 60, 80, 100, 20, 40, 60, 80 plus 10 is 190. Right, and then we can start taking off. Oh, we glitch in the runway. And I'll just keep an eye on the speed. Right, we'll give it a 10. And I'll keep my hand over the 8. Give it another 10. Coming up to A.
Yeah.
Right, I think we just go for it. 200. It went to 216 there. Right, listen, I'm going to throw the towel in. I think you should have one last shot.
Yeah. All right.
And see if you can. Yeah. Did we get any progress? I think the key is the speed. It's understanding what speed it should be. Right, I'm going to get rid of that.
So I just want to. So with the flaps up, the stalling speed is 180 knots. Okay, right. All right.
Right, I'll get rid of this stop screen. There we go.
Okay. So taxiing.
Okay, right. You know the drill. F1 flaps down. Flaps down is V.
Yep.
And then you got get your heading right.
Okay.
There we go. Right, perfect. Now you've got your flaps. So you need to get your flaps down. That's a V.
Down.
There we go. Right. And then, yep, 190. And then if you just keep your finger on the F3 just to kind of boost it when it gets to about 181, whatever, give it add an extra 10, keep it between 180 and 200.
Cool.
Right, you can start taking off.
Let's take off.
And then I'll tell you when your altitude's above 300. Yeah, and you want to press A. Right, you can press A now. Right, now this is where you are. This is the crunch time. You're between 188.
So I've put my flaps up.
Right now. You've put them up as well. So I think you should be able to increase your speed, or is it? Yeah. You don't want to drop beneath 180. See, you've got it.
Oh no! That was quite close, though, wasn't it?
You know, it's quite possible that we're actually. I presume. How do you know when you're over the mountains?
I guess they disappear.
But like, did they disappear there? I can't actually bloody. I'm too busy looking at the bloody instrument thing. You need to have another crack at that. That is literally the furthest.
Do you want to have? So I think we're nearly there. You know, I think like it's just a question of like you say, like hover over that F3 key.
So I think what we need to do, we need to bring up instructions and see what it says. If I just deleted the bloody thing, hang on a second. I have.
So what I did after I put the undercarriage back up, I then
you put the flaps up.
Put the flaps up, making sure that it was above 180.
Yep.
I think, yeah, and then it was just a question of like pulling up to climb, and then just kind of trying to keep the knots above 180. But the more that you climb, the more that the knots decrease. I just didn't quite catch it in time.
So do you reckon you dropped below 180 then? Is that what caused it?
Yeah, it dropped at 179.
Did it? Yeah. Right. Okay. Right, a wee minute.
So do you want to have another go? And should we like?
You go again. You go again.
Okay.
You're on this. Right, where's my bloody instructions going? What have I done with them? Oh, it's in this. It's in this RAR that I'm saying you like move that here. Right, I want to see, because I think we're only right. Let's have a look. Right, so let's see. We'll just read through this. Pull joystick back to take off. Once above 300, you can retract undercarriage and flaps. When you raise the undercarriage, blah 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 blah. Climb, increase speed, and climb to at least the height of the mountains.
Yeah.
The red high warning light will flash as you approach the mountains. All right, and go steady red when you're safely above them. When the light goes out, you're clear to descend for landing. Jesus, that's another ball ache.
That's another jellyfish.
During your short cruise, the runway heading will flash up the new heading for landing. At 25 miles to touchdown, start descending. The speed will increase, so keep this under control. At 10 miles to touchdown, a light will appear on the runway. If this light is white, you're too high for landing. If red, you're too low. And if green, you're okay. Before you reach 300 feet, put the undercarriage and flaps down. Don't forget that undercarriage down reduces speed by 5 knots. Jesus Christ, that's just the cruising descent. We've only really mastered the climb bit. We've not even got into the actual. I think we give it. I think you. I'm saying we. I think you give it one last go. You, well, you were. I was going to say you're all over it, but quite clearly you're not. I think you give that another go.
Shall I give it another one?
Yeah. You give it a go. But I think before we lose the will to live. So you can put your flaps down anytime you want. That's a V or F1 to start, and then your flaps down V. And then get your
Okay, flaps down. Shit. So I was trying to climb. I was trying to like pull back and climb, but obviously not quick enough. Do you want to have a go, Al? Oh, your volume's gone again. Al, I can't hear you. All right.
Is that any better?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I know it's weird. It's just like for some weird reason your voice was all weird. Do you want to have one last? Make this the very last go.
Yeah, sure.
Give it the very last go. I'm at a loss actually. What was going wrong there? It said I think the speed is too slow. The thing is, it's not. There's a bit of kind of buffer. There's a bit of delay from you pressing the key. So maybe it
doesn't help, does it?
80 and it's not actually updated. So I think we maybe have to make sure we keep it in the kind of high 90s.
Yeah.
So flaps down is V, and then you're getting your heading.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, 196 flaps down, and then you can get your speed up to 190.
Right, I'm just really going to try and climb now. Fucking hell. And your sound's gone again.
Right, back in again. I don't know what's going on. Right, before this fucks up again, I think we will call it a day. Well, yeah, that was 1 hour and 47 minutes. Well, to be fair, most of the 1 hour and 47 minutes was me fucking about with the microphone. Anyway, apart from that, the 10 minutes that we actually played the game, we managed to taxi. We managed to take off. We managed to start climbing, and then that's as far as we got. We never managed to cruise and descend, and we certainly never managed to land. So, do you think I was justified in feeling a tad frustrated at this game?
I think so. It's kind of obvious. Like you can kind of see just at the point that you're going to not quite make it. Although still confused by the fact that the climb wasn't quick enough, because I still had my eye on the knots and I was trying to top it up with the F3 key. And
I can just tell that you're going to be lying in your bed tonight and you're going to be thinking about this game. You're going to be seeing the speed and the flaps and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I probably would try again. I think if like maybe I'd had like a Commodore 64 and this was the only game that came with it, I probably would try it a few times.
The thing is, you can, it's pretty easy to get to where we get to before it kind of messes up. But yeah, I mean, it's considering most people were playing Manic Miner and whatever it was, and some people were trying to persevere with this. It's a brutal game. But anyway, listen, folks, I hope you enjoyed watching our tomfoolery, us messing about with this. It's great fun. Thank you very much, Jamie, for joining me again. If you're up for another one, which I think you said you are, we will be back for a third episode of whatever this thing's going to be called. I don't know. I'll need to come up with some witty name. But in the meantime, folks, as always, thank you for watching, and thanks to Jamie for taking part. Till next time, guys. Take care. See ya.